This is one of the most dangerous caves on Earth. In 2013, two cavers reached the very bottom, 40 minutes of crawling through cracks barely wide enough to fit, and at the end, in total darkness, they found something nobody was expecting. Human bones, hundreds of them. Over 1,550 fragments in total, at least 15 different individuals. But how did bones end up this deep? Someone or something must have carried them here. And when scientists started studying them, the less sense any of it made, because it turns out these weren't modern human bones at all. They were something else entirely. A completely new human species scientists had never seen before. I went deep on this story, and honestly, every answer just raised more questions. This is really interesting, one of the most fascinating topics we've found in a while. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. A human species that until that moment didn't exist in any textbook, any fossil record, any scientific paper. And from the moment researchers started piecing the bones together, one thing became clear. Nothing about this species made sense. Their brain was less than half the size of ours. Their body was small and primitive. Every physical feature they had told scientists they were looking at something ancient, something from the very beginning of human evolution. So when they ran the dating tests, everyone assumed the same thing. 2 million years old, maybe more. The results came back. Only 300,000 years. That number is important, because 300,000 years ago wasn't the distant past of early human evolution. That's around the exact same time we first appeared on Earth. This small-brained, primitive-looking creature was alive at the same time as early Homo sapiens. On the same continent. In 2015, they finally had a name for it. Homo Naledi. And the implications were immediate. Two completely different human species, both walking around Africa at the same time. So the big question is, did we ever meet them? There's no evidence in the fossil record of this yet, but we're in the same place at the same time. Let us know in the comments, guys. Do you think we ever crossed paths? And if we did, do you think it would have been violent or friendly? But here's where things get even stranger. Because despite that tiny brain, the rest of Homo Naledi's body tells a completely different story. Their feet were almost identical to ours. Their hands could grip and manipulate objects just like ours. But then their fingers curved in a way that suggested something else entirely. They were built for climbing. Their shoulders and chest sat narrow and primitive, more like something from millions of years earlier than anything modern. Every single body part seemed to belong to a different species. Scientists call it mosaic evolution, which is where a mix of ancient and modern traits exist in one species at the same time. But really, it just means Homo Naledi broke every rule we thought we understood about how humans developed. But as strange as all of this was, it doesn't answer the most important question that started all of this. How did their bones end up at the bottom of one of the most dangerous caves on Earth? To reach the chamber where the bones were found, you have to squeeze through a crack 18 centimeters wide and crawl for 40 minutes in total darkness. Modern cavers with equipment struggle to make it. Some can't at all. They went through every explanation they could think of. Predators sometimes drag carcasses into caves. Floods can carry bones long distances. They checked everything. None of it held up. No predator marks on any of the bones. No signs of flooding. No other animals in the chamber. No tools. No food. No fire. Nobody had been living there. Just bones. All the same species, in a place almost nobody could reach. And then in 2017, a second chamber was found. Different location, different path through the cave, but the same thing, hundreds of Homo Naledi bones. The conclusion was difficult to avoid. Homo Naledi was deliberately carrying their dead into the deepest part of this cave. If true, this is the oldest deliberate burial ever found, by over 100,000 years. And to do it in total darkness would have required fire, a controlled light source, from a species with a brain less than half the size of ours, because everything we thought we knew said a brain that small wasn't capable of this kind of behavior. That detail changed everything for me, because if this is true, it doesn't just change what we know about Homo Naledi, It changes what we thought we knew about intelligence itself. But not everyone agrees. In 2023, the argument went public. A team of scientists published what they believed was proof. The positioning of the bodies was deliberate. The pattern across two completely separate chambers was deliberate. Homo Naledi had been carrying their dead into the deepest part of this cave on purpose. Another group of scientists wasn't convinced. Natural cave processes could explain the bone positioning, sediment movement, gradual accumulation, no burial, no ritual, just geology. The debate hasn't been resolved, and at the center of it is one question. Can a species with a brain that small actually think like that? Here is the detail that changes everything. Homo Naledi's brain was tiny, but the internal structure looked surprisingly similar to ours. The part associated with planning, decision-making, and social behavior, which means brain size and capability might not be the same thing at all. And in the same cave system, researchers found markings on the walls, geometric shapes, cross-hatched lines, deliberately carved. Some researchers believe they were made by Homo naledi. Others aren't convinced. But if true, this species wasn't just burying their dead. They were leaving marks on the world. Then there are the tools. Their hands were built for precision. Everything points to a species capable of making stone tools. So where are they? Not one tool has ever been found in that cave. They weren't living there. They weren't working there. The only thing that ever happened in those chambers was leaving bodies behind. We still don't know where Homo Naledi fits in our family tree. Every analysis points somewhere different. No consensus. No clean answer. We don't know what happened to them. The bones in the Rising Star Cave span roughly 100,000 years of activity, and then nothing. They vanished. Whether climate change finished them, whether they simply couldn't adapt, or whether something else entirely ended their story, we don't know. And we don't know if they ever met us. We shared the same continent at the same time, but we were in different habitats. But the gap between those habitats wasn't infinite. At some point, in some valley or forest or rocky outcrop in southern Africa, it's hard to imagine two human species never once crossing paths. What would that have looked like? We have no idea. What we do know is this: a species with a brain half the size of ours survived for hundreds of thousands of years. They navigated complex cave systems. They may have controlled fire. They may have buried their dead. They may have carved symbols into rock walls. Or none of that is true, and we are looking for meaning in a cave full of bones. The science isn't settled. The debate is ongoing, and every new discovery seems to raise more questions than it answers. And that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop us a comment. What did you find the most interesting about this topic? Hit the like button, subscribe to Buried Earth, and I'll see you next time. On screen, by the way, 2 videos we think you're gonna absolutely love.